Almond, maybe we should go ahead and kick this off because we're 5 minutes in. I think
Sure.
new people have joined.
Yeah, and great that Steve's here as well, which is our Twitter consultant, and Mohammed and Mari and dev team is here as well. So it's great because this session is going to be very useful just to align in a subject that maybe we as a team don't really have time to talk and to discuss in other meetings. So these Giveth Essential sessions are for all the working groups and for everyone in the DAO to just like to come and align and talk about important things around Giveth. And basically, this session is going to be facilitated with Corey and Lauren and Steve and myself, but also please, if you want to comment something or if you have something to add, feel free to write it in the chat or just like to share with everyone. And yeah, just like to kick off, we really would love for the Giveth working groups and for the Giveth team to get a really nice and cool Twitter account, because maybe you know that in the Web3 space, Twitter is basically the most important channel, is where people refresh and get their news and to just share comments, and it's really, really important for everyone in the DAO to also help promote the Twitter tweets. And of course, because at the end, this reputation and this SEO that works with Google will always show in like these kind of like tweets that mention Giveth as well. So if we all contribute to promote and to push Giveth, at the end it will be helpful for our reputation and for our SEO and for our with a position in Google. So yeah, I don't know if Corey and Lauren, if you want to start, maybe adding something around this, or Steve.
Sure, yeah, thanks, Almond. Yeah, so thanks everybody for joining. I think for me, the main purposes of this session is just to make sure, like, to answer all of your questions and talk to you a little bit about Twitter, because I mean, everybody in Giveth knows that we talk about the Twitter a lot. Like, we're always posting things on Twitter. Crypto Twitter is like a big thing, so it's our main channel of communication for Giveth. So I just want to make sure that everybody kind of understands, like, the purpose is to kind of like also demystify like what is Twitter and why is it valuable, and like how you could get involved, and if you wanted to build your personal brand a little bit, and even if you didn't want to spend a lot of time doing that, how you could support Giveth. And those are kind of like my main goals here. So I just want to make sure that everybody feels empowered to ask any questions that they want. Steve's here as well, who's been working with me for so many months, and he's super amazing and a wealth of insight as well on Twitter best practices, and just like has done a lot to help improve the Giveth Twitter. So I'm happy he's here, and yeah, and also happy to have Corey and Almond as always. And maybe I'll just pass it to Corey in case you wanted to start us off with any ideas.
Yeah, no, I think what I would add to that is like it would be really good also to make this an interactive session and allow enough time for open questions about Twitter, because Twitter is this whole ball game of a platform, right? You can I think the idea today is to keep it yeah, not to go too far into details unless you want to dig into that, but more to really like from an overall perspective, like look at how to use Twitter in the best way. Like what are the really general like do's and don'ts, and especially what are the do's, to like create more traction on your own Twitter account, maybe feel more confident like using your own Twitter account, and also yeah, supporting Giveth's Twitter account through yours if that's something that you want to do. So I think we have like content prepared today and like things to talk about, but I think also like really great would be to have just interactivity and like ask questions, and there's no dumb question, but we can like, because it might be really relevant to other people here, and we can talk about things openly. So
Yay, perfect. So yeah, maybe just like to kick off this session. Well, I think that we kind of like covered these things that make Twitter really important. And I think that maybe it's important to highlight that with this new conversation of Elon Musk buying finally Twitter, things are going to change a lot. Maybe you know that he wants to charge $8 a month to keep your verification status, and he's going to start adding a lot of advertisement to Twitter, and also pushing a lot of other formats, like for example video. So with this in mind, also having Twitter Spaces are going to matter more. So it's just good to have this in mind, that things may change with this new acquisition. And yeah, as Lauren was mentioning, this is the main channel for Giveth, not because it's the way it is and that's it. It's just because Web3 and the crypto space moves in Twitter as well, with the updates and announcements, features, and Twitter Spaces. This is like a thermometer for everyone, just like to catch up in everything that's happening in the ecosystem. So also with this in mind, it's good to create really good quality content, because at the end, in these, especially in the bear markets, where projects maybe are not like, there's not much projects out there, is like a good shot for projects to stand out, because there's not much competition in like a bear market versus a bull market. So we create this tips and tricks guide that I would love to review with Steve and Corey and Lauren, and then listen if the team have any more tips to add. I don't know if Lauren or Corey or someone would like to start reviewing this.
I can share my comments if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So from what I'm saying, yeah, try to avoid adding links in the first tweet. So I would say this isn't gospel. This isn't like you have to follow 100%. But when you add a link in a tweet, what it does is, on the algorithm, it doesn't go as far. Twitter wants to keep you on Twitter. So if you're doing a thread, if you can somehow implement it so a link is in the second tweet, or for example, you put a plug, which would be, if you're using Tweet Hunter, you can set it so a later tweet can come after a certain amount of likes or retweets or comments. That can be a more effective way to get exposure to a certain link. So this is what, if you look at affiliate accounts on Twitter, they do this a lot. So they'll post a tweet, that tweet hopefully goes viral or whatever, and then they post a link under that. So that second link will actually get more reach because that first tweet already got that push. I hope that makes sense. So if you're using a link, one way you can use it is that first tweet gets the reach, and the second tweet with the link then gets more push. If the original tweet has a link, it won't go as far. It's not 100% because obviously you're dealing with people, but in terms of how the algorithm works, like I said, it wants you to stay on Twitter. And then hashtags is, a lot of people come from Instagram onto Twitter, especially in the NFT space, and they think that hashtags work the same on Instagram as they do on Twitter. Instagram, the hashtags get you much more reach, but on Twitter, it works against you if you want more reach. However, hashtags are good if you want to find certain groups. So if there's a group using a hashtag, like for example Web3 or maybe DAO or something, like hashtags that are already being used, it can be useful. So if you're using hashtag as branding technique, like for example, if we have hashtag Give, GIV, it could work, but no more than 3 hashtags. Otherwise, you're just going to kill the algorithm on you. 3 tweets a day recommended. Yeah, I think the number one rule is at least one tweet a day. But yeah, 3 tweets a day is a good average. Some gurus will say 5, some will say 3, some will say 4. So it's about figuring out what works for you. If you're using a script, yep.
I got a question for that. I mean, you know, if you're going right now from tweeting maybe once in a while, I think upping to 3 tweets a day, maybe even 1 tweet every single day is like quite a jump, right? Is there anything, is it sometime, could it also be like, hey, look, I'm realistically only gonna write like 2 tweets a week right now because I'm just like building out my account and I'm just learning how to do this. Does Twitter at least like maybe then appreciate if you're consistent, like, okay, you post on
Right.
Monday and Thursday, or does it really not matter once you're less than 1 tweet a day? Like, just don't worry about it until you get to that level.
That's a good question. So before you hit, say, 1,000 followers, again, it's not 100%, but I'm just going off rough numbers. When you're first starting out, any tweet you post is not going to get very far. So when you're first starting out on Twitter, if you're very, very small, the best thing to do is have an optimized bio saying, you know, what your whole Twitter account, what you're there for. So if you're just here, you know, and you're saying, well, I'm building with Giveth Galaxy, that's great. A pinned tweet or thread to further show that. And then actually, if you're not got many followers, don't worry too much about the tweeting. I would say you can do quote retweets, but actually what's more effective when you're really small is comment on big accounts and add value. So sharing, like, let's say you know of a couple accounts that talk about something related to the project you're working on. You don't want to shield the project, right? But you want to add value to the conversation. And when people see you add value and then they go to your bio page that has, you know, what you're about with a pinned thread, they're more likely to follow you. That's a more effective way of growing than just tweeting at the beginning. The tweeting game is like when Giveth is already at 11,000, I think it is. So it's much more effective for Giveth just to have the regular tweets. I hope that makes sense, what I just said.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm guessing maybe that's a little bit more relevant for the group today, talking about like building out new accounts. Maybe I'm wrong though, but I think that for me is particularly interesting because yeah, once you get to like over 10,000 followers and stuff, like I think things change, right? And that's also good to know about Twitter is that as your account grows, the rules can change a little bit or the way you get traction may change a little bit, but I think it's a really good point to make, like even as a starting point, like here in this call, is just starting with the basic, which is your profile, right? Like what does your profile look like? What banner did you choose? Like what's your name? What's your picture?
Exactly.
Right? And what's your description?
And that's the first thing I did when I first met Lauren and Ivy. Like that's the very first thing we did was went over bio. I don't know if Lauren has a screenshot or something before of Giveth from before, but you can see the difference in the use of space in the messaging. Like if you can completely optimize it, it really helps. And if you have no idea, that's okay as well, because we're all a learning process, right? But yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away from Twitter, especially if you're growing your own account, is it's a networking platform. So network, talk to people. If you have a question you want to dive deeper, DM them, right? Twitter will kind of reward you for engaging more. But as you're trying to network and you're trying to engage more and trying to grow, if you can, okay, you might not start with 1 tweet every day, let's say, because you're not sure what to put, but you can begin the process. If it helps, I could share a bunch of like template or brainstorm ideas that can get some people going. Just so they can look at what kind of tweets can they create that just to get started. There's a lot of like, you know, you can start with a few. They're a little bit platitudey, but it gets you going at the beginning if you're not sure where to start.
Yeah, I mean, Sure. It would be cool if you could share some templates, Dee. I just want to kind of like pull things back a little because we kind of started diving into like, no, you have to start retweeting and tweeting things 3 times a day and blah, blah, blah. But I think a lot of people on this call are like really new to Twitter. Like they just made an account and are like kind of unfamiliar with the water. So kind of just want to like show you a few things on Twitter. And like, for instance, just like the Giveth bio and banner and kind of like give you some examples of like what that actually looks like. And then maybe Steve can show us like some other templates of things to like get people started out. But yeah, like, so when we're talking about like bio and banner, that's why I'm sharing my screen here. It's the banner is like this picture at the top. You have your image, you have your name, and you have your handle, and then you have like this banner here and any links. You can add all this content into there. So like as a Giveth contributor, if you wanted to support Giveth, something you could do in your bio is like say something relating to Giveth, something about you, something that you care about, and you could even say like builder for @Giveth.io, which would then kind of link people in your bio back to Giveth. And then I think just like general concepts for like having a good bio is like when you come to your page on Twitter, because like Twitter is this space of very limited characters and very high impact message and like the smallest amount of space as possible, you want to really optimize this space. So previously the Giveth banner was like a picture of some people, and we had the image here, and then it said Giveth, and it said Giveth, then it said our website Giveth, and then it said Giveth again. And it was a really inefficient use of space. So what we did is we actually used the banner space to show like something about Giveth. Like Giveth is welcome to the future of giving, donate crypto, get rewarded. It like right away tells people that this is a donation platform, it has something to do with crypto, and there's rewards involved. So it's like really optimizing the use of this banner space. And then when it comes to the bio, like there's a lot that you can say. Some people say something like, follow me for this thing. And it's like, follow me if you care about this, or follow me if you want to improve in this way. And so it's kind of like your bio can be a place where you introduce yourself as well as kind of tell people why they might be interested in following you, which is like maybe something that you care about. In the case of Giveth, it's like we're transforming the way we fund public goods, zero added fees, donor rewards, regenerative economies, decentralizing charity, DAO. So in the bio, it kind of like tells a little bit about the variety of things that we're doing at Giveth to try to encourage people to understand us, and if they're interested in what we're doing, then follow right away. So this is something you can do on your personal page as well. Maybe Steve will have, maybe I can pass it to Steve and he can show us some examples of like some good personal bios and banners that you would recommend. What do you think, Steve?
I'm not sure how to share through well with Discord. I'm getting familiar with it.
You can tell me who to search, and I can open up on my share screen.
At the moment, I can only see the Notion, so I don't know if I'm looking in the right place here.
Oh, you have to. So in the top right corner, you can click grid or focus. There's like a little in the top right corner of your Discord, there should be like 4 little squares, and it says grid. Then you can like see everybody's faces again, and you'll be able to click on my share screen.
Sorry, say that again.
If you're looking at Amon's share screen, bring your mouse to the top right corner of Discord, and then it says like, you know, live and whatever like the streaming quality is. Then there's like 4 squares. Okay. Click grid. It'll go to like everyone's faces.
Okay, I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
Then you can see my share screen. I'm sharing Giveth here right now. And if you want, like, I can pull up a different Twitter profile. Like, what I really want to do is show people kind of like an example of
some good different ideas. Yeah. Check out I think his name is Hello Andy. Let me I'm also gonna type it.
I remember you showed me before.
Yeah, Hello Andy, he's got a good one. So his whole thing is he's got 3 focuses: crypto, money, and YouTube. That's what he's about, and he's got his story. I went from 0 to a millionaire in 6 years. Follow me for insights on how to do the same. So follow my path, right? It's a very simple banner that a simple kind of idea you can start with. I think his one's pretty cool. So I think his has like the 3 niche idea. So if you got different things you like to talk about, you could use something like this, right? And I think that's something we discussed about Giveth bio, right? So what is there 3, but we split it into 2 in the end, which is still fine. We had the slogan and then give give donations and get rewards. Just trying to think of another one. If you do JK Molina, so 1 JK Molina. Okay, his bio has changed a bit since I last looked. Just in general, if you want to learn a bit about Twitter, JK is a pretty good guy. He's pretty onto it. But again, he's showing. So one thing you'll notice that's a common theme is people showing what they've done. So if you're doing a personal brand, it's like built with Tweet Hunter. Built a Tweet Hunter. Like he didn't build it exactly himself. He's not the software guy, but he did all the marketing and things like that. So he's saying what he's done, and then he's saying what he can do for you, showing entrepreneurs how to turn. So this one's more of an expert approach, right? And then we would want like somebody who's maybe not so much expert. Okay, type in Darius Jenny. It's a bit of a simpler tweet, but you can see a different style here. Or just type in the Web3 guy. There we go. The donut. You see where it says it's got the donut? He was under there. So Darius was it? Oh yeah. So his one is it's like his journey, building something, and then what he's doing, creating actionable and relatable content to help onboard the next million people into Web3 by tweeting about DAOs, NFTs, and crypto. So it's like you can be somebody on a journey. Join me on my journey. You can be like in an expert position. This is what I've done. This is how I can help you. His one's a bit more simple, but he's got the color coordination, right? He's got the orange with the orange, and if you look into his content, a lot of the content he does, he always has orange in his visuals. And he's a relatively new person, but that's why I wanted to share this, so you can get like another idea. So there's no one size fits all, but these are just some off the bat that I can think of. I hope that helps.
Yeah, another thing that I would recommend doing is if you're looking for like inspiration on your Twitter and you're like, hey, I'm in the public good space, is like looking at some pretty big accounts in the public good space. Like Owaki is like very popular and has kind of like made a big following on Twitter, tweeting once a day, having interesting things to say, putting up like interesting questions. And so you can kind of like check out his profile here. It's sort of like fun and impactful. He's got this cool profile pic that looks like him. It says internet citizen, DAO cartographer, EVM whisperer, and chaos magician. I spend bits for fun and profit. Watch out for my megabyte. It's kind of like a joke and shows his personality. So it doesn't need to also be so prescriptive. You don't need to be like, okay, we're like, this is a commercial Twitter account where I'm doing this commercial activity. It can also be like your personality shining through. So yeah, so you can feel free to kind of like experiment and just be flexible with things. Like I can show you also, like when I was setting up my Twitter, I looked at like Griff's, because Griff has a big following. It's like, okay, what's he talking about? So he has kind of like an interesting banner, his famous icon, co-founder, Giveth, Common Stack, General Magic, DApp Node, Decentral, leader at the T Commons, the DAO, steward at Gitcoin, ENS, Optimism, Bright ID project. So in his profile, he's really used this space to kind of link to different orgs that he represents and supports. And I think that this is really, really great too. So like everybody here is a Giveth contributor. So like putting Giveth in your username is a way to kind of show support for Giveth. And like when people go to your page, they can also then be linked to Giveth. And if one of your main purposes for your Twitter is to kind of like help support Giveth, then that's a really great thing to do as well. Like, I'm a big Giveth shill. It's basically like all I do. So that's what I did with my profile as well. It's like I just made up things, mission specialist at Giveth.io. Oh, there's a typo, but like, and then I also linked to Common Stack, TE Commons, follow for radical takes on public goods and Web3. And you know, I didn't try to make it like so perfect in terms of like all the Twitter rules, but also just wanted it to kind of show my personality. So feel free to like also just play with the space and be artistic and have fun with it, because like if you're not having fun using Twitter, I think it like kind of semi defeats the purpose of getting involved.
One thing I will say, like the thing that you've got that I want Griff to have, is a personal profile of your face, right? Because if it's a personal profile, people are more connected. If it's different if it's a brand, right? Obviously, Giveth and General Magic have their logos and stuff, but there's a lot of fake and bot accounts on Twitter, as I'm sure many of you know. So having a profile picture with your face or something that shows you look at all the profile pictures that we've shown, apart from Griff's at the moment, but they will have their personal like they'll have their picture, because people connect better with a person. And again, it's a networking site, right? So it's good to find a picture and use it for your profile. I think that's really important.
And I just wanted to ask if someone has a comment or a question so far. We're reviewing the importance of, oh no, I'm not doing so well. I'm going to improve after this session.
I like it's right there.
But if someone has any comment or questions, is the time before we move forward, or we can just like keep going?
I just want to say, Almond's a perfect example of a very simple bio. So I think, you can go that way as well, just because she's sharing the project she's with, right? Is that correct, Almond? So we got Giveth, Doing Good, Dreamed Out, and so you're working with all these projects. Is that correct?
Well, I tried to mark like before and after the slash that I was working in Giveth, and the other ones were like more projects that I'm involved, but yeah, kind of.
Right, yeah. So I think that's fine. But maybe just a little clarity on that. A bit like how Griff's done with his, how he's like what his role is for each one. But yeah, that's fine.
Just want to, and just does anyone have any questions in the group?
I might have I just wanted to. It seemed like this is the right moment just to sort of raise the issue of the Twitter, the sale that just happened. And I don't know, maybe it is a question. You know, there's a whole ethical issue about continuing to use Twitter right now. I kind of just wondered what everyone thought about that, and maybe if there's some other alternative in the works in the DeFi. Sorry, not DeFi, decentralized space for that.
What's the issue you're talking about?
Elon Musk.
And
It's a very sorry.
So the issue is Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yes.
Okay, I'm kind of an advocate for Elon. So what's the
well, there seems to be
a
okay. Maybe this isn't the right place, but I figured it was at least worth addressing, because it is we are talking about Twitter, and this was a recent development, and there does seem to be a large camp there's a large exodus, there's a large departure at the moment from Twitter. So there's kind of like a discussion about that going on right now. I just wanted to raise it. Maybe we could.
I think it's a really relevant topic. Of course, Twitter's a major platform, right? And this has happened with other platforms as well. And I think changing ownership means there will be many changes coming to the platform. We saw it with Instagram when Facebook bought Instagram. It changed a lot. We still see changes coming there, and I think that's kind of something to be aware of. But yeah, in terms of like ethics, you know, at the end of the day, like I think maybe some of the concern on Web3 side is like the ultra centralization of Twitter. But the thing is that at the end of the day, I think all the communication platforms that Web3 is leveraging right now are all centralized. The topic of like decentralized social media has been around for a long time. And actually there's quite a few platforms that have been set up for a very long time. I think the Web3 most relevant one is Lens protocol. They launched this year. they're brand new, but there's other ones like Mastodon that have been building for quite a long time. You can always go check those out and experiment with them. But I would say, like, from Giveth's perspective, and every other perspective, like all the other businesses that I'm aware of, like, are for sure going to continue using Twitter. So, like, if that clarifies things a little bit, but there might be mass exodus happening of like certain high profile individuals. A lot of people have left Instagram too. So just to let you, like, these things do happen for sure, unless unless something happens, like from a management perspective, that turns Twitter into like just a horrible place to be for Web3, and there's a movement from for Web3 to go somewhere else. That means our audience moves, and we have to migrate with that. That would be the
Thanks, Corey. Thank you.
I think a lot of Web3 at the moment is very comfy on Twitter, especially with Twitter Spaces. If you jump into Twitter Spaces, you'll see it's a very vibing community. I've shifted between like money Twitter, philosophy Twitter, writing Twitter, Web3 Twitter, NFT Twitter, and I would say like Web3 and NFT Twitter is like the loudest kind of vibrant area on Twitter in terms of Twitter Spaces. Everyone really gets talking and people just hang out. If that gets taken away, I think that's when you'll see the Web3 lot moving. But yeah, I was going to say Lens as well. I think the cool thing about the future decentralized platforms is you'll be able to take your followers with you, where at some point Twitter might not be here. I think that's a good thing to poise, right? It might not be here, but it's here for now. So it's a good question, but I think at the end of the day, you got to enjoy Twitter. And if you really, start using Twitter and go, I hate this, maybe it's looking at what is the part that you don't like. Is it the writing? Is it that, you don't like feeling like you're grinding or something? If you just turn up to Twitter Spaces and talk to people, that might be your way of using Twitter, right? It doesn't all have to be about creating written content. So part of using social media is figuring out what works best for you, because not all social media has been around forever. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows MySpace and things like that, right? So yeah, it's a fair question to have.
Yeah, I think this is a great segue into like, okay, how else to engage with Twitter, and and what else you can do to support Giveth or like get involved. So as many of you know, Giveth is hosting some Twitter Spaces. So like one very simple way you can actually get involved is just by joining our Twitter Spaces. Maybe you're not on Twitter all the time or joining every space everywhere, but before Twitter Spaces, Ahmed will be posting it in the announcements channel, and you could just come join the space. Funny thing about Twitter Spaces is that you have to do it on your phone. I don't think you can do it on your computer. So come join the space from your phone. And then you can even like request to speak and then ask questions. And this is like a great way to get involved and engage with Giveth. Something I think would be really valuable to see from our contributors is like having more people throughout our core team speaking up about their perspectives on Giveth, the things that they're excited about, the honest questions that they have, or like their doubts about the future, and then their solutions for how to get there. We have such a diverse team of people who are all working in like different parts that we could use Twitter Spaces as well as a place where people come together. Wow. Franco says he joined from his laptop. I didn't know that was possible, but it's a place where people can come together and share.
Yeah, for Twitter Spaces, you can join on your computer, but if you want to talk, I think you have to be on your phone.
Cool. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So join Giveth Twitter Spaces. And another really easy way, I'm kind of starting like midway down this page. Another easy way to support Giveth is by engaging with the things that we post. Fun fact that if a tweet gets more engagement shortly after it's posted, like within an hour after it's posted or 2 hours after it's posted, it actually like really boosts that tweet from the perspective of the Twitter algorithm. So it will be shown to more people. So if you see that Giveth tweets, you can go and retweet, like their tweet, and leave a comment if you feel like leaving a comment. And just by engaging with that tweet, you actually really do help to support our message in reaching more people. Yeah. So those are like a couple of really easy ways to do it. Also, just FYI, we have the Twitter channel in our Discord where all of the tweets from Giveth actually just get like auto published in Discord. So if you felt like getting notified by those about those messages, or like whenever Giveth tweets, you could get yourself the tweet team role. I think I can assign it to you, or Ashley can assign it to you. You can just let us know if you want that role, and then you'll actually get tagged every time that Giveth tweets. Giveth is usually tweeting sometime like in America more, usually when we're having like the bulk of our meetings. So you'd be on your computer anyways, and it's a really easy way to help just support us.
Sorry to backtrack here, but I shared a file in the chat that has some it's called wordplay, and so you can look at. It's just one file with some brainstorm ideas for tweets. You might get some inspiration from it, give you some starters. If you're not sure how to create tweets, I've got other files as well, but I think I'll just share one for now.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to open it right now so we can talk a little bit more about it. But that's like another way to get involved and engaged is by actually tweeting. Like, tweet from your own account. And some very basic things about like making effective tweets is, I mean, this is the very most basic one. Say things when you have something to say and try to add value. So like the majority of tweets that are successful are ones that like actually add value to people's lives, so that they find interesting, or something that they could learn from. So when you're tweeting, don't just tweet like gee whiz or wow. That can be fun sometimes as well, but try to think like what do you have to say about a subject, and then actually share your opinions about it. So I was just able to open this doc that Steve shared. So this is pretty cool. It actually like shows some good versus great tweets, and has some tips and tricks for like how to craft effective tweets and why. So you can check out check out this doc as well if you want like some ideas for content brainstorm. From the perspective of Giveth, I would also like add that another way to support and build your own account as well is by quote tweeting. So instead of just going and mashing the retweet button and liking things, you can actually quote tweet and say something that adds value to that you can share with your audience. So if you're quote tweeting about the Giveth Project Owners 101 course, you can share and say something that you're excited about with regards to this course. Like, something I'm excited about is that like now we actually have a resource for all the Crypto 101 people, new to crypto people who are interested in raising funds but don't really know where to start. Like, this is a great place for them to start. So that's something that I would quote tweet our Giveth tweet about. And then you're both kind of building your own brand by creating unique content for your own page while supporting Giveth and the ecosystem via Twitter. Steve, do you want to talk at all about this doc that you shared? Amand is sharing her screen.
Let me just find it. I'm just sharing it.
Yeah, it's in the screen. We can see the document.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this is just to give you ideas of like wordplay is what people have done. You can come up with your own, but if you go up to the top, like good versus great, right? So this is all for short content, and this is not don't use this all the time. I would say this is more for inspiration and see how people use wordplay, and look out for people making tweets. Like I just saw one, literally somebody said a rich man, what was it? There's like rich man, poor man is another type of structure. But here we go. So good and great. So maybe, if you're talking in the Web3 space, you could say something like a good system needs centralization. A great system can be decentralized and controlled by everyone around the world. I don't know. It's just off of that, right? So it's just using this. Naval there's a lot of naval examples in here. Naval is really good with these kind of tweets. In case you don't know who Naval is, he's a really successful person, not in Web3, but in general. And things like comparisons, Instagram and Twitter. So it's like an inside joke. If there's like an inside joke, so instead of Instagram, Twitter, you could do like Web2, Web3, right? What do Web2 do? What does Web3 do? Or you could do Web1, Web2, Web3. So what was it? Web1 was like open and permissionless. Web2 became centralized and centralized, and you had to like verify. And then Web3 is meant to be decentralized and permissionless, right? Or you can say something, comparisons, these kind of things. If X then Y, if not X then no Y. That one's a really hard one to copy, but you can see the intricacy in that tweet. If it hurts to hear it, look for the truth in it. If it's comfort to hear it, look for the lie in it. So these are, I'm going to be honest, these are a bit more on the platitude side, meaning they don't share too much value. But when you're tweeting on Twitter, and not to go against what Lauren just said, when you're tweeting, not when you're commenting and stuff, some of the content is more feel good and some of the content is more about value. And sometimes you could have a viral tweet. Like I think I had one that was gym hack, leave your phone at home. And this thing went viral. Like I got thousands of retweets. Did absolutely nothing for my account. But it was just like a feel good tweet that lots of people got really triggered about, because they're like, I can't go to the gym without my phone. And other people like, oh, that's what you do. So don't always go for like virality, but this is a starting place. I would say that this is a starting place just to get some ideas. And like I say, I have other files. So if you look at that and you go, maybe I want something else, let me know, and I'll see what I can send your way.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to check in a little bit with the group on the call to see like maybe what's most like is I kind of want to throw a question out there. I'd love for somebody to jump in with a response like, what kind of holds you back most right now from tweeting consistently? Or what kind of, what are you most nervous about regarding using Twitter, if that's the case? Maybe it's creating like, I don't know what to write about, or maybe it's actually technically using the platform itself or not understanding the rules around it. I'm just kind of curious what might be most interesting for you on this call.
I just have a quick question. Do retweets count as one tweet per day?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Generally, no. If it's a quote retweet, yes, I would say, at least at the beginning. Generally, no, though. So if you're small, quote retweets is fine. But if you're growing and you're starting to gain traction, if you only do quote retweets, it's definitely not as effective as doing your own tweets. In terms of a daily thing.
Well, good thing I'm small in Twitter followers then, but large in stature.
Yeah, I think if you're small, actually, quote retweets are probably an effective way to gain the reach, because you're, for example, okay, this is just a perfect example. If you have a big account that you quote retweet and they like that quote retweet that you've done, and then they retweet you, you've just gained access to their audience. So if you play it right, quote retweets can be a good growing strategy if you are adding value to the conversation. And
to your own profile, right? Because you've decided to create a bio describing what you like, what kind of content. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should be aware of your audience. So like for me, I'm transitioning from what I was doing before, focusing more on Web3. And so when I quote retweet Giveth, I kind of give the basics or General Magic or something from Giveth Galaxy, I generally share some basics. So if somebody had no idea what this project is about, at least they get a quick little intro so they can then dive deeper because they're not as aware. I do have some people that I'm connected with on Twitter that are much deeper down the rabbit hole. But I also, when I started on Twitter, a lot of the people that I originally connected with and originally followed me, like, weren't in Web3 at all. So that's why I'm just aware of that. So yeah, you kind of got to think, who am I talking to when you're growing on Twitter? If you're just, always talking to Web3 people, okay, maybe you just add to the conversation something that you think is awesome about it, something that you're looking forward to about it. So a different situation to my one, I think. If you're starting from the beginning, you're already hoping to target the Web3 lot. But we also got that side of Giveth where we are onboarding people into Web3. So keeping things simple when you're explaining stuff. If there's, if you don't worry about sounding dumb if you're trying to keep things simple. I hope that makes sense, because you want anyone to understand. But you do want to have an ideal target audience, and you're writing for one person, and that person, who are you writing for? Is it somebody who is already in Web3 deep down the rabbit hole and you're just showing them like this platform? Is it somebody who knows a little bit about Web3 but maybe they just know about Bitcoin, and then you want to help move them into Giveth because you think it's such an amazing project and it brings real life value? Or is it somebody who's not even touched Bitcoin and you want to introduce them? So I think it's important to define who is it you want to talk to, and that will help you start creating your content and building your profile and engagement.
Thank you. See, I think Nicola, yeah,
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you. And to respond to your question, Corey, because I've been trying to build my profile since this year. I guess I'm still building my identity on Twitter and learning how to do it and defining the areas that I'm interested in. And actually, what stops me from like doing it more often is just I don't have built up the routine. I don't have routine to like go there, spend at least, I don't know, 20 minutes a day reviewing things and trying to comment or something. So that's definitely something I see that's stopping me. And one thing or two things I wanted to mention. I noticed that when I join a Twitter space, especially Giveth ones, usually I gain at least 1 or 2 new followers, which is nice. And I also noticed that when I comment on a different tweet, it kind of looks like it creates its own tweet on my own wall, on my own feed, and that is a little confusing for me. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So when people look at your page, they will see your tweets and your quote retweets and your retweets. When you look at a page, you'll see I can't remember what the first thing says, but then the second one will say tweets and replies. So then they can look at what you've been actively doing, and also on their timeline, if you've been engaging with something, they'll see that. But one thing about the comments thing that I don't think we've mentioned, either Lauren or Almond, if you can go to Twitter, and down the left-hand side, you'll see of the Twitter menu, you'll see lists. Are you on Twitter right now?
yeah. Yeah, we can.
Okay, I can't see it clearly. It's right. Sorry, I'm getting used to Discord. So yeah, one of the biggest, I think the biggest issue when you're trying to do this on Twitter is noise, right? You get onto Twitter and there's all these tweets coming up and, oh, I should engage. But what you can do is create a list. You create a private list, or we can create a shared list, which actually might be ideal in this situation. We can create a shared list of anyone in this community. And we can also create your own private list, which is particular, let's say 5 to 10 accounts that are big. So we're, at least a couple of thousand. So medium range, and then you can have some big ones. I don't know, 10, 20, 30,000. And when you start getting to 100,000, maybe 1 or 2 millions, it's a bit harder unless you're like right in there. But what you can do is when you go on Twitter, you use the list instead of using the timeline. So you're like, okay, I've got 20 minutes. I'm going to engage. Okay, I go to my list. Now I can scroll down, look at my list, and what tweets do I want to engage with. So this is just one way to organize yourself. And then another app I'll share in the messages, but maybe we can go through another time. It's called TweetDeck. It's a free. It's a scheduling app, but it's also useful if to help you organize your Twitter in a free way. So you can come on, you can look at your messages, you can look at your lists, and any section of Twitter you want to particularly look at. That's not the timeline, because the timeline is what Twitter wants to show you. But when you go on Twitter, you want to look at what you have already put in place for you to look at, right? Because there's certain accounts, certain areas of Twitter you want to see again and again or interact with again and again. So yeah, TweetDeck is a good app for that. But if you don't want to use a third-party app, just use the list on Twitter, which you'll find on the left-hand side of the app.
Yeah. Cool. So if you're watching my share screen, I set up a list, and it's actually really cool. I've never made this before. So you could like optimize the accounts you're following. And then I think like also like Nicola, one of the things you were saying is like an obstacle is just like getting in the routine of it. Like just make it fun for yourself, especially when you're just starting out building your following. Do Twitter in a way that you're enjoying. Like this big drag of a thing. So like tweet things that you like, follow accounts, make a list of the accounts that you enjoy watching, and include Giveth. But like just go on there and make it fun. And I think like that's really the best way of starting out with any kind of social media. I mean, you can make it like your life, try to then aggressively become the best at Twitter and blah blah blah, but you don't have to worry about that. We're trying to do that with Giveth. We're making it a businessy type thing, but like for your personal account, like take these tips and tricks, take the ones that were like, oh, interesting to try them out, but don't worry about making everything perfect, and just like have fun with it. And then I think it'll be just like easier to get into routine because you'll want to.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to this, is that it's not really natural as a human being to feel creative every day, all the time. And Twitter here, you're getting tips and tricks telling you need to tweet every day. So it's also like a thing to keep in mind that sometimes we are in certain creative flows on certain days, or we have the mental capacity for it, or we have like cool ideas. Maybe, whenever I think of tweets where I properly put something together and like I really enjoy like posting it and I've put some thought into it and like it's information I want to share, I usually come up with that stuff when I'm on a walk outside or like doing something completely away from my computer, and I'll tend to write it down as like a little note on my phone. And then I can always like, when I feel creative, like go on Twitter and maybe write some tweets, and I can always save them as drafts and decide to like post them later or look at back at them later. But like it's called like content batching, so when you're in the mood, you could write a bunch of different tweets about things you're thinking about related to the topic that you want to be like writing about on Twitter, and then you can like tweet them on days where you just feel like, okay, yeah, I want to put a tweet out today, I want to put another tweet tomorrow, but you don't have to think about it every day and spend the time on it. And then you could just have some fun perusing the app instead and commenting on people's things, right? Like Steve said, it's pretty important to just be engaging with other people, and you, through your curated list, it should be a lot easier to do that.
And to go one step further, if you use, so we're using Tweet Hunter for Giveth and many of the brand accounts, but that's a page scheduler. But if you use Tweet Hunter, if you're doing the batch method, which I agree with, I think that's a great way to handle it. You can also schedule your tweets. So you don't have to worry about posting each day. You've got it all set up for the week, right? And that can be a way to help you handle posting each day. You're not actually posting each. I don't post each day. I just have things get set up, scheduled. So and that's a great way to do it. But if you're having a day where you want to tweet and it's all organic and you just I'm just going to tweet on the fly, great. I always think of like tweets. I like your thoughts, like trail of thoughts, and then threads are like a more put together thought, right? A more put together idea, mini blog. And that's all tweeting is, really. It's just your ideas and fun with words and things like that. And it can also be videos and stuff. But videos, I think, are harder to schedule, especially with TweetDeck. But yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Dee. Well, we are at the top of the hour, so that's kind of the end of our session for today. But if you guys have any more questions and want to follow up, feel free to message me or Corey or Amand or Steve. You can tag us in the comms channel. You can tag us on Twitter, and I hope that the session was helpful, and that you have some inspiration and some fun ideas.
It would be great to hear your feedback as well. Let us know.
Did you like it?
Super valuable for me. Really learned great tricks. You gave me amazing feedback. I'm all motivated to do more. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. It was a very good session. Thank you.
Thanks
So
for
happy
coming.
to join. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you for all the feedback.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.